Welcome to the Kinda Crunchy podcast, where we talk about all things health and wellness. We can't wait for you to hear today's episode, so let's get to it. Welcome back to Kinda Crunchy, guys. I am Rachel.
And I'm Jensen.
And we are so happy you're here today. We are recording early morning for you. We have a really fun episode today that we're going to get into, kind of like a year-end review. And this was really good for like Jensen and I to do, to reflect kind of just on our year. And we want to share it all with you. And then in the description, we're going to put the questions we answered and encourage you to go through and do like a little year in review yourself too, because it's just like a good reflective thing to do to show you like where you started and where you've come and kind of just look back on the year. But before that, we always like to catch up. We haven't chatted this much this week because I was away, so we have some life updates to update each other on. So Jensen, what's been going on in your world this week?
So I think the last time we recorded was last Tuesday because we were doing like the makeup episode from the episode that got lost. And I think I said to you, I don't even know if I said this on the episode, but I said after, I was like, yeah, I'm starting to feel like a little off, like a headache, scratchy throat. And then it just kind of like lingered on a little bit more that Tuesday night. And then I woke up Wednesday and I was like still a little iffy and I went to the gym. That was very stupid of me. If you're sick, don't go work out. But I was like, I'm fine, is what I told myself. And I like never cut a workout early because like where I work out at Powertrain, it's like there's a set workout for you. So I like said to my trainer halfway through, I was like, I'm not okay. I need to go home. And that Wednesday, I swear it was the worst sickness I've ever had, and I'm not even exaggerating. I had the worst body aches, chills, like my whole body hurt to the touch. Like it was, if I opened my eyes, my head hurt. If I closed them, I was in pain. I had 101 fever. It was terrible. And that was like, and it was all day Wednesday. I like slept the whole day. So then that night I slept terrible because you know when you like sleep all day, you can't sleep all night. And I was like sweating. It was just then Thursday was still feeling terrible. Not as bad as Wednesday, but still terrible. Friday was fine. Like I was able to pretty much work the whole day Friday, but I still didn't feel great. And it was kind of nice. Like I didn't do anything those days. Like stayed at home, didn't leave the house, which is what I should have done. And then Saturday, we were supposed to like have breakfast plans with friends, and I was like, I need one more day. So honestly, Saturday I was able to like start to do stuff around the house, but it was still a very chill day. And then Sunday I was kind of back to normal. I mean, my voice still sounds like a tiny bit off, but I feel good. But then poor Logan, I was like, I just knew it was going to happen, that he was going to get sick, and I just didn't know when. And it was like Sunday, I was like, oh, maybe he's in the clear. And then Monday he woke up and he's like, yep, here it is. So he like powered through work Monday, but then came home, slept all Monday night. Yesterday he worked from home, and I think he's going to work from home today because he still does not look good. So we're just fighting through this, but you know what? What is it, December 20th right now? Is that today?
Yes, yeah.
Getting it out of the way before Christmas. So I was like, better now than this upcoming weekend. But I feel like it's just that time of year. So
For
that's
sure.
truly my only big life update because I've really not done too much. So yeah, Rachel, tell me about your trip because that's a lot more exciting than me. Oh, actually, no, I just thought of it. I finished Gilmore Girls last night.
Wow, you watched that fast.
Yeah. Well, when I work from home, it just plays in the background, so I can pound through a lot of episodes each day. I was crying. It was like so emotional. It was such a good show. I told Logan, I'm like, I just want to restart it. Like I loved it, and I'm excited to restart it. You're watching it still, correct?
Yeah, I'm a lot slower than you are on my watching. Honestly, December's like such a busy month. I really haven't like watched anything, read anything. Then with us going away, like that just made it even crazier. So I'm kind of on hiatus from consuming content. I think January I'll start back up.
Yeah, well, you're gonna love it. It's so good. I'm sad it's over, but I'm just like, I feel like it'll be a different appreciation watching it the second time. I'm not gonna like restart it right now, but like I feel like when you watch a show the second time through, like you pick up on things or you like know
Yeah.
things that are going to happen. So, um, yeah, okay, that's my last life update. So tell us about your trip.
No, I'm glad you're feeling better. I feel like everyone I know right now is sick, um, with some type of something. Like it's definitely going around. And yeah, I'm glad you are on the mend. Hopefully Logan is
I
very
know.
soon so he can
I
enjoy
know.
Christmas too. Um, my trip was really good. So my family went to Canada. We went up to Quebec. We went to Montreal first for like a day and a half, just to make the drive a little shorter up, and then went to Quebec City. So my brother and his wife had been there, and they really liked it. They went around Christmas time and just said like, "Oh, it's so pretty because there's so much snow and like it's
Hmm.
very Christmassy vibes. Like everywhere's decorated, and they have a lot of Christmas villages and things going on." So he really wanted our whole family to go up. So we went up with Logan and I, my parents, and my brother and his wife, um, and just did some like Christmas things. My brother loves planning trips, so he just like coordinated it. So it was kind of nice because we literally didn't know what we were doing. Like we went up for the trip. I didn't know we were staying in Montreal. I was like, oh, I thought we were going to Quebec City. And he's like, no, the first day and a half's in Montreal. We're doing this, this, this. I was like, okay. And normally like I have to be in charge or like plan things. So it was kind of nice to just go and like just be there and be like, okay, what are we doing today?
I was gonna say he was like the Rachel. I call you like when there's someone planning a trip, it's like the Rachel of the trip. Because when you and I travel together, I just laugh because like you just do everything and I don't have to think about anything. But I'm glad for you this time that you could be in just the relaxing side and just enjoy it all. So I'm glad you had that.
Yeah, yeah, it was great. He had like every food place picked out and all the stuff. So I really just got to like ride along and enjoy it. We did some really fun things. We went to like this tubing park. I think it's the biggest tubing park in North America. So they had like
Wow.
really high hills to tube on, which I have a funny story about that. I'll tell in a minute. And then we just like explored the Christmas villages. We did dog sledding. So Logan drove the dog sled and I sat in it. And that was fun because that's like an experience you don't always get to do. Um, I thought I was gonna be like feeling really bad for the dogs too, because I was like, oh my gosh, they just like have to pull our weight for us to like have fun or whatever. But they were just like they want like it was kind of chaos when they took you up to where they were like hooked up to the sleds. Like they were like going crazy, like they just wanted to run, like they're just
Oh.
like trained for that for life, like they just wanted to go so bad. So then I didn't feel as bad, and yeah, it was fun. Logan did a good job driving. I'm glad I got to just sit there and do nothing and he drove the dog sled, because I would have been like, you have to like lean your body and like hit a brake and like do these things, and it would have been stressful for me. Like I would have rolled the sled or something. So that was a lot of fun. We ate a lot of good places. I had a lot of French onion soup, which I love French onion soup, and
Mm-hmm.
like it was obviously so good there. They actually in Quebec they speak French predominantly, and all the signs are in French. I guess the other Canadian provinces speak more English, but like Quebec's the really French one. So I didn't know that until I went there.
Hmm.
My sister-in-law speaks French though, so that was helpful being in a place that was, I mean, they spoke a lot of English too. It didn't really matter, but
Mm-hmm.
still. And then we went to a spa that was so cool. I have to share about this on here. So my brother was like, I know Rachel's gonna love this. We have to go to it. My parents came and my dad was just like disgusted at the idea of this because this is so out of his realm. He was like, what am I supposed to do here? So like it was like you go in, like there's changing rooms, they give you like robes, you wear like swimsuits, and it's outdoors in Quebec. So like it's cold there, and they have cold plunges that are literally like waterfalls are flowing into them so they don't freeze solid, but there's like hunks of ice in them. Then they have like hot tub like springs and stuff right next to them. And it's like spanned out really far over all this like land. Then they have like saunas. They have some steam saunas set up. They have infrared saunas you can go in. So you just like walk around outside and go station to station. They have like these relaxing stations where it's literally just like these yurts or huts that have like a real fire like place thing in the middle, and like all these hammock chairs so you can just like sit in them and relax. um and then they had a steam room, which I like love steam rooms. This one had
Same.
eucalyptus in it, so it
Oh.
was really like you walked in and they had like the place to hang your robes, and then you walk in again and there's an ice machine with buckets for you to get ice to like cool yourself while you're in the
I
steam room.
love that.
Because the whole thing they tell you when you go to the spa is they're like, we recommend you do like hot to cold to relaxation and like keep cycling through that for health benefits. Um, and the steam room was like you open the door and it was just like this fog of like eucalyptus that hit you. It was
Oh,
like sticking your body in Vicks Vapor Rub almost or something. Like it was like almost overwhelming. But then when you sat in there, it just felt so good. And you could like put ice on you while you were in there. So yeah, it was just a really good experience. I would definitely go back just for that spa. I wish we had something like that here. It was only $20 too to go for like
what?
5 hours.
I was just gonna
It
ask
was
you because I was like,
crazy.
this sounds like a very bougie, all natural spa, and I was gonna be like, I almost didn't want to ask, but I was like, what did this cost? That's crazy. That
Yeah.
just shows that like I don't know what how Canadians are about health. I might be, but like it just seems like that like the fact that that's only $20, like that's
Yes.
amazing that they're giving like so many people the opportunity to really actually be able to experience like all these health things.
Yeah, I like wish I lived there so I could just get a membership. Like, cause we went on a Friday night and there were people just like casually coming from work for like 2 hours on a Friday night, like
Oh,
after, and then they were gonna go to dinner because like there's locker rooms and it is very spa. Like the locker rooms have these showers with these nice shower products and like all the amenities you would need and everything. So you can just like go to the spa, then get like an actual nice shower there and leave and go do what you want. They have like a cafe and everybody's just like in their robes eating there with like good grilled cheese and like I got a turmeric latte. It was just
ooh,
like a good experience. I was like, oh, I wish I could recreate that here, but no one would want to use it in Punxsutawney other than me. Um, but yes, I did cold plunge in the river too. I was so proud Logan did.
wow.
He wasn't feeling well and so he was really trying to get better and I guess all my convincing of saying like hot to cold and all these things can help you did it for him because he cold plunged a few times, which I was impressed. Um but yeah, the river was very cold. Like no one was going in there, but we went down and we did it because you have to do it.
You
But
have
I
to.
don't think you could stay in it very long because I think you would legitimately freeze to death.
Hmm.
But yeah, that was like the best part of the trip for me. The one other thing I'm gonna say about the trip, and then I'll stop talking about it, is we went tubing and Logan took me out on the tubes. So we like you go down these big hills and then you walk over to like the tube thing that takes you up the hill.
Hmm.
So we came down a hill and then we were walking over and there's like a little hill that goes down the opposite way, kind of just the way they had it built, like where we were walking. And there's a big sign that says like don't ride on your tube down here. So we saw that and Logan was like, well, I saw someone else do it. I'm just gonna like ride my tube down here. And I was like, do whatever you want. Like, I'm walking. I don't care. I was like, the girl's right there. You might get yelled at, but whatever. Um, so my brother and I were walking. Logan gets on his tube behind us, doesn't wait till we're done walking, and just comes right behind us, like on a tube on the snow. And then I just hear like move. And like in that second, he just literally took my legs out from under me and I just flew in the air and body smacked the ground. And we were both laughing so hard because he couldn't have gotten like a more perfect hit if he wanted to. But I was also like, why did you just do that to me? And he's like, well, why didn't you move? And I was like, I didn't know you were going to smack me from behind with a tube. And he was like, I really wasn't aiming to. Luckily, I landed like on my butt and I had a bunch of layers on, so I didn't get hurt. But I was like, if I had landed on my head or if you hit a little kid like that, they could have
Yeah.
been like really injured. So I only had one nasty fall and it wasn't my fault. It was actually kind of funny and no lasting injuries from it, thankfully. But yeah, it was a good trip. I'm happy to be back. I've never gone around away this time of year, like before Christmas,
Hmm.
and I don't think I would again because it's just like I had to like think so much up of like ordering all my Christmas gifts earlier and like trying to get them wrapped because when I get back, I have all this stuff to do. It's like a busy time at work, then like Christmas cards I'm getting out late. There were just like there's so much this time of year going on. And I like being home this time of year because it is cozy and like
Hmm.
I don't like missing out on that. So I don't think I'd go away this time of year again, but I we had a good trip.
I'm glad. It looked so cool. I was like so excited to hear your life updates on it because it just looked like you guys did so many like cool experiential things. Like it wasn't just like you went on a beach
Yeah.
vacation. Like you did things that like were really different and cool. So
That was
I'm glad.
definitely thanks to my brother planning it.
Well, good job, Luke. Was it like freezing cold up there? Like what was like the temperature?
No, honestly, we hit it at a really good time. It was like 20s to 30s. It wasn't
Oh,
bad at all.
yeah.
So that was perfect. My brother said the last time he was there, it was like 0 or below and
Hmm.
like icy. So, and we really didn't have bad weather either, like with snow or anything. There was snow on the ground, but we didn't get caught in any like really bad weather. So
Okay.
it was like, yep, perfect.
I love that. That's great. Is that your last life? Any more life updates or?
No, that's it.
I was gonna say I'm just getting into this episode. It's so funny. I'm looking at my journal right now. I love to like reflect and plan for the next year. I do this at the end of
Me
every
too.
year, and I have like the best moments of the year, like my intentions and goals for the next year, things I'm excited for, like what else do I have? Oh, just like plans for the year. Like I don't know, I just like I love to make lists of that.
Mm-hmm.
So when we started doing this episode, it was cool to look back on like what were my like intentions and goals and what was I excited for this year. Um but I also was telling Rachel, I feel like this is like a digital like diary. Like I feel like in 10 years from now I'm going to go back and listen to this and be like, "Oh,
I
well,
forgot about that.
that's what Jensen was up to in 2023." So I'm like yeah, I'm excited for this. Rachel sent me like the list of like kind of questions to go through and it was hard to do cuz we were just saying like what did we do in January? I can't even think what I did in like June, let alone like 12 months ago. So it was good to like actually like really reflect and think about like all the good things that have actually really happened this year and all the experiences and highs and lows.
Yeah, it's just crazy how quickly like time goes and how quickly you forget. Cause I was even like, okay, what was I doing January of this year? It was hard to
Mhm.
remember. I'm the same way. And I also love to like plan and create like goal lists and stuff for the next year. I know some people are like, oh, that's toxic because then blah, blah, blah. But it really doesn't like, I'm not like, oh, I didn't meet these goals. Like I'm let down at the end of the year. I just love like planning and creating lists
Yeah.
like that and stuff. So I actually like got a new planner this year and I'm just so excited to fill it all out. Like that's after the week after Christmas is like the best because I just like get my life all organized for January and fill out my planner. And January 1st is on a Monday this year. So it is
Oh,
like fresh slate. Like that's perfect.
you'll have to send me the planner link that you got. I feel like I haven't gotten. I used to use planners in college, like actual
Mm-hmm.
planners, and I was like kind of the same way about you, like filling it out. Like the beginning of the semester, I was like, yes, I got all my syllabuses. I can put in all my exams and test dates and thing. And I just love the organization of that. So I feel like I want to get back to like maybe a paper planner this year because I have a digital calendar, but it's just nice to write things down.
Yeah, I have multiple. I have my notes app that I use. I have my paper planner, and then I have a shared Google Calendar we use.
Hmm.
So there are many working parts to my planning in many different places. But yeah, there's something about just like at the beginning of the week, like writing it down on a
Yep.
Sunday or something, and then having like being able to actually cross off like in that physical
Hmm.
planner. I always I love planners. I've used all different kinds. This year, it's a new one for me, and I am excited about it. And maybe we'll talk about this. Maybe I'll talk about my favorite planners in our next episode that we do,
Yes. Yes.
because it's kind of focused on like New Year things. But yeah, I will definitely share it with you. But do you think we should get into our year in review questions? I think that we should start with the first one if you're ready for it.
Yes. Do you want me to start?
Sure, go ahead.
So where did we start and where did we end our years? And this was like hard for me to think about. I was like, what was happening at the beginning of the year? Um for me, job was the same. Was working in my job, was going into the office every day, so that actually will change. Um but I guess at the beginning of the year, I feel like I was on a lot of different like medications for fertility, which nobody here would have known about. And I feel like my
Hmm.
with my body, it was just like I like, didn't feel good about it. I wasn't feeling great. Um, so I guess I just like wasn't in like the best mindset with like my body and my health to start the year. We weren't podcasting at the beginning of the year, which is just crazy
Yeah.
to think about. Like there's just we were talking about it and we were like, okay, when are we going to do this? But
Hmm.
that really was we were it was just a dream at that point. Um, but then now I guess like I'm working from home, which I'm absolutely loving. So, end of the year, I'm now from home. It's great. We have now incorporated podcasting into our lives, which has been the best thing. It definitely has added a lot of time and commitment, but it's been great. Um, I've actually sought out a new fertility doctor, which I'll talk about that maybe as another episode. But so I just feel like I'm in like a better place with like my health and my periods. Um, yeah, I feel like that's like kind of where it started end of the year. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to throw in there, but you go ahead, Rachel.
Okay, so I started the year out working as a health coach at a gym location. In addition to my job at the nonprofit, I was doing it as like a side gig. And that was making my life very full and busy. I was literally working like 6 to 9 p.m., like 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. most days, like work, not like just being up. Even on weekends, I was waking up at like 5 a.m. to go in to the gym to teach classes and stuff. So I was just had a very full schedule. I was still settling into my job at the nonprofit because it was still like I was like 6-ish months into it. And just was like in that go hustle phase of mine still, which I had been in my whole life. um, I am now at the end of the year. I'm definitely settled into my job at the nonprofit and really like it. I am no longer actively working as a health coach for any type of like gym or company. Kind of on break from doing that. I don't have a side job or side gig. We are doing the podcast, which is like a side thing, but it's not as demanding. It's kind of at our own pace. Because there's not like, oh, you're getting paid to do this, so you better be here type of hours. I definitely am just slowed down way more. I am sleeping more, I'm reading more books, doing less work, and just like slowed down a bunch, and just more cozy at home, not on the go so much.
You're entering your soft girl era, as we've discussed.
I am. And the next question is, how would you describe your year in one word? And I really struggled to define it in one word. Slow, cozy. Really the one I think that I is redefined. Like I feel like this year
Mhm.
was a huge shift for me of just like my outlook on life was redefined, and like how I have to function through day-to-day life doesn't have to be like chaos and do as much as possible.
I feel like this. I remember. I don't know if it didn't happen overnight, but it kind of felt like it did. I remember one time I was discussing with you, and you're like, "Jensen, I'm a reader now. I just like to be cozy." Like it just kind of. You're like, "I'm just done striving," and I'm like, "Yes, I love this for you because you have always been a striver, and not that you don't still strive and work and do, but I feel like." This is good for you, and I'm excited for just to see how you continue to just lean into this new season.
Aw, thanks. What's your word for the year, Jensen?
My word for the year I decided to use was full because I didn't want to say busy. I didn't want to say overwhelming because I didn't want it to be like a bad word of the year, but it was just a full year of weddings, of trips, of figuring out my body, of
Mhm.
work was really busy. We had a lot of like just a lot of maybe stressful projects I was on and like things that I was doing. So it was definitely a full year as I look back at the beginning of it and we like kind of knew going into it that it was going to be a lot. Like, I mean, when you have
Mhm.
11 weddings, like that's basically a fifth of your weekends just are at that, plus all other like family trips and obligations in life. Um, but it was also full of a lot of great things. Like there were so many
Mhm.
wonderful moments. And I think we're going to get into like our highlights and our big moments. But I just like, I feel like I was struggling with those because I feel like there was just a lot of small little moments this year that just made this year really great. Like a lot of small things that maybe like aren't like the mountaintop moments that like are easy to remember. But I just know that there's been like so many blessings and good things that have happened this year. So this year was full, is how I would define it.
I think that's beautiful. It's not a negative outlook on having busyness. It's a positive one of full of goodness.
Yes, exactly.
The next one is, what were goals or dreams we had this past 12 months and how did they amount? I know we're both big goal setters, planners for 2023. So what were some of yours and how'd they turn out?
Well, I have a long list here, and many of them did not happen. one was
Actually, same.
one was keep up with laundry. I actually did think I did a little better this year than the last. Now that I work from home, it is like the fact
Yeah.
that I can, like, before I start my workday, throw a load of laundry in and, like, at lunch change it,
Yep.
and that, like,
It makes
game
all the
changer.
difference, right?
Game changer. So next year, I'm just gonna be on top of it. So one goal for this year was to get chickens and for them to
Mm.
lay eggs and for us to have eggs, and that was something we completed. It was funny. Yesterday, Logan and I had a doctor's appointment and we stopped at Trader Joe's after because
Mhm.
there was a Trader Joe's near where the doctor's was, and he was like, pasture raised eggs, $7. And I'm like, he's like, good
Right?
goodness, we don't have to buy those. I'm like, I know. So that was a goal and it did happen. Reading the New Testament. So my dad and I have
Ooh,
been going through the New Testament in Genesis this year. My goal is to, like, fully read the New Testament, and I am in Revelation right now. So year's not over yet, but yeah, so I would say that I'm on track to finish it. So that was something accomplished. Um Starting a podcast. I know that's both of ours.
that's on mine too. Yeah, we
I
did
figured
it.
it was. We did it. We started a podcast and we didn't miss a week, which I think is huge. Like,
Crazy.
I have to give ourselves, like, a pat on the back just with how full my year was, that somehow, and also the fact that we're 4 hours away from each other, that we didn't
Mhm.
miss a week. So
And we were not virtually recording up until like a month ago.
yeah,
So we were
exactly.
doing the most to make it happen.
We were, those 4 in a row days were, we did them. We did
Yeah.
it. I mean, a goal we had this year was to have a baby. That did not happen, but you know what? 2024 baby, it's gonna happen. Speaking and believing that. Read 10 books. This was not my year of reading. Rachel, I know you probably covered that for me. Um, Yeah, start a garden. Didn't happen. Probably won't happen next year either because I told you I want to do the whole barter thing. I want to trade eggs with people. But
Yeah.
those were some of my goals for the year. Some of them happened, some didn't. And this, I just want to say to all the people that made lists of lots of goals for this year and that a lot of them didn't happen for you, that's okay because that's normally the case. But I think it's good to set goals and intentions and just have a plan for the year and be
Mhm.
flexible with it. And we're not perfect people that are going to accomplish every goal we set. So have grace with yourself.
Yeah, I always carry mine over. Like there's
Mm-hmm.
some goals that I've had on there for 5 years that I just have not done. And I'm
Yep.
like, eventually. I don't get discouraged about it. I'm like, eventually, I do want to do that. So it just stays on the list. I have my whole
Yep.
life, right?
I love that.
So
I love that.
why be pessimistic if I don't make it happen? No, I love those. Starting a podcast was definitely of mine as one we accomplished. One of my goals was to slow down in life, and I do feel like I did that.
You did it.
Also to read. I didn't put like an amount of books, although I did get Goodreads once I started reading and set a goal of like 15 books by the end of the year, which I didn't start until August reading, and I did meet my goal. I went over my goal a little actually. Um, and then one other one I did accomplish was I wanted to get back into sourdough, and I was successful with that. I actually made sourdough cinnamon rolls last night, and they were
I
very
saw. I didn't know
tasty.
they were sourdough. I saw you post about them.
Yeah.
They looked super good.
Yeah, I haven't made sourdough ones before, and yeah, they turned out really good. Some of the ones I didn't succeed at. This is one of those ones that's been on my list for years. Is learn to use my sewing machine. I got it for my 18th birthday per request to my mom, and I used it once to make cornhole bags under my grandma's help. She's like an expert sewer, but I really want to learn like how to actually use it. Um, Another one that didn't pan out. Well, I did start a garden and learn to can. I feel like I still have a lot to figure out with that though, so that's still on the list. I wanted to start playing my violin more, and I did pick it back up, so that was a win. I wanted to learn French. I've like some of these are like I've done Duolingo to a certain point where I've learned French so much, and then I just drop off and like kind of forget it and then can pick it back up. And I do this frequently. So
Mhm.
that one didn't happen. I wanted to learn golf, but then I don't really want to learn golf that much. I don't like it that much.
You have clubs now.
I do. Jensen gave me her old clubs. I told Logan I might just be like, I actually think it's the perfect combo. He golfs, I ride in the cart and read the whole time.
I
That's the
saw
perfect combo.
I saw this thing and it was like it was a an Instagram reel and it was like the best thing ever is if like your man golfs because you if you just it's like 4 hours where you can read a book, drink a coffee, and
Uninterrupted
yeah,
in
interrupt.
nature.
Yeah. But honestly, I'm just thinking this out loud. The four of us, sometime in Punxsutawney next year, we should do a round of nine
Yes.
holes.
That would
Just
be
nine.
so fun.
We could do 9 holes. We could get dinner at the club after. Like, I feel like that would be so fun. And 9 holes isn't like a huge commitment. And yeah, it'll be fun. And like the fact is
Yes.
like you could play like three of the holes if you wanted to, and then just sit there. Like, but like it'd be just
Which will
fun.
probably happen.
Yeah, you
I
could just
just
drive and putt.
yeah, it's just like I want to have fun and after like 4 hits I'm like, okay, now I have to think too much about it. I'm just here to like smack this little ball and go
Yeah.
woohoo. So yeah, we'll have to set that up. Did you have any other ones or should we move on to the next year in
Nope. We can
review
move on to the
question?
next one.
Okay, the next one is what skills did we learn this year?
Yeah, I was struggling with this, and then I was like, "Wow, I should have learned more skills this year." When I was thinking about this, um, so I guess the skill, and it's not even sourdough, but I feel like I've really perfected my bread recipe.
Mm,
Which you know what I think that's a skill. Like I feel like I've incorporated that into like our routine where I like make bread once a week, and yeah, so
that
adding that.
definitely is.
Um, I don't know if you would call this a skill, but like taking care of chickens, like I feel like
Yes,
just
you have
like
to have some knowledge and like
yeah, I feel like just learning how to like raise like first off raising them from like 3 days old to like now taking care of them each and every day.
mhm.
Um, that's been a new skill. Um, I know you probably have this on your list, but like podcasting is a
Yes.
skill in itself. Like so much goes into that, like coming up with the episodes. What are we going to say? You do all the editing, I do all the social media. So there's a lot that goes into it. So I feel like that's been like an evolving skill, and I'm excited to see how we continue to get better and better. Um,
Yeah, there's a lot of improvement that still can be had, especially on the techie side.
Trust me, Rachel, you're doing great. You're doing so good. Um, and then one more, I would say a skill that like I wouldn't say I learned this year, but I feel like I really worked on was golf. Um, I think I shot under a 50 on 9 holes, which like my
Whoa.
goal is I'm pretty sure Logan isn't telling me that I'm wrong. Um, I'm pretty sure I had a 49 the one time. Basically my goal, one of my things was like I'd like to shoot under like 100 someday, so that would be like under 50 for like
Hmm.
2 rounds of 9. Um, so I did that the one time. So yeah, I think I'm trying to like get better at golf because that's like a shared hobby between Logan and I, and we love doing it together. And it's fun to like go golfing with people, and it's nice to like not embarrass my like I feel like I can golf with like guys, and I'm like I can hold my own sort of thing. Like I'm
Yeah.
not like, oh, we have Jensen with us, we gotta take our time. So yeah, golfing is definitely a skill that I've worked on. I can't really think of anything else. You do your list, and if I think of any more I will, but I feel like I didn't learn that many new skills this year.
Okay, I had podcasting on there because yeah, definitely ought to learn with that. Also starting a business in tandem with podcasting, like
Oh,
kind of
true.
crunchy, just doing the different banking and business paperwork and things like that. We haven't had to do taxes yet. We will soon, but luckily we both have husbands that work in that realm that hopefully will help us
Yes.
very much with
Yes.
that business side of things.
Logan does lots of tax stuff, so I'm
My
sure your
Logan
Logan does too.
Uh he
Maybe.
can. He does more of like the investment, like
Yeah.
finance stuff, but
Yeah.
he works at a firm that has a lot of accountants and tax stuff, so he
Yeah.
definitely
We're
can
good. We're
do it.
great. We're in good hands.
Yes. I feel like sourdough this year, so I wouldn't say like I make the perfect loaves of sourdough bread like that you'd want to sell. Like my loaves are just they're fine. It's bread for the week, but bagels. I make a good sourdough bagel. That's which I've been baking more bagels than bread anyway, so I feel like I've really mastered my bagels, which
Love that
wasn't
for
even
you.
a goal at the beginning of the year. It just kind of evolved naturally. Making tallow. I wouldn't say I've perfected the skill, but it was definitely a new one I learned of how to do it. And the other one was just recent. I learned how to butcher and process my own deer, um,
Mm.
which is like you actually kind of have to have some knowledge and skill, and it does take like a lot of work from start to finish. Um, so yeah, that's another one that I learned this year.
I love that.
Yeah. Um, the next question is what were our top 3 to 5 highs or peaks of the year? And I only have 3 for this. I don't know about you. These were it was kind of hard for me to think of highs and lows, to be honest.
Yeah, it was because I didn't want to just think of like I feel like a high moment of a day. Like is that like does that big enough for like a year? Like is that like does that
Yeah.
make my list of the top year things? Yeah, I have like 3 to 4 kind of things. Do you want me to
Okay.
go first?
Sure.
Um so one of the highs, and I'm sure I'm taking this from your list, but I feel like anything with like kind of crunchy is going to be on
Yes.
both of our
That was my
lists.
number 1.
But yeah, starting kind of crunchy was definitely a high of the
Yes.
year. There's just been so much fun and joy and like so many great things have come from it. Um, so that was definitely one of them. I would just say I feel like this year, and I'm not saying this is better than the last year, but like the joy of marriage this year, I feel like was just
Mm.
so sweet, and it was just another amazing year of being married. We're on year 2 going into 3. Um, and yeah, I'm just so grateful for Logan and just to have the marriage that we have. And it was just I feel like that's just like a continual high. Like through the lows,
Mhm.
through the hard things, like he is like constant. And yeah, so it was just a very joyful year in a marriage. We had lots of like fun. And I would even say like it wasn't even like we went on all these grand dates and things, but it was like we were just had like a lot of like intentional moments. Like we golfed together a lot. Like we found this like new like bagel shop that we love. Like
Mhm.
it was like a very sweet year together. So I'm really grateful for that. And then I would say the last thing was um, my dad and I, we've just been doing like a Bible study together, and just like he is kind of a newfound like walk with the Lord, and he got baptized.
Mhm.
So that's been really cool for us to be able to connect over that and to be able to do that. Like we try to do it once a week. It doesn't happen every week, but that's been really sweet. And like again, when you're having a hard day or a low week, it's just nice to have that like intentional time with the Lord, with Him. So that's been really sweet. So I would say those are like my top 3 highs. This was really hard to come up with because I
Mhm.
could have named like trips and experiences, but I kind of want to save those for like memorable events.
Yeah.
So go ahead, tell me what yours are, Rachel.
So, starting kind of crunchy was obviously on the list cuz I feel like that's kind of a big thing like
It's huge,
when like 15 years from now or whatever, if we're not doing kind of crunchy, which we will be, right?
obviously.
But to even look back and be like, whoa, like we started a podcast, we had no idea what we were doing, like it
Hmm.
was a full business, like all the things, like that was like a big one, and that was a high because definitely exciting, and it was cool because we both just kept like talking about it after Jensen
Hmm.
brought the idea up to me, and then we were like, let's do it, let's just like bite the
Hmm.
bullet and do it. um my second one was just like the mundane, cozy, everyday moments. Like, because I feel like the highs were just every day from those. Like,
Hmm.
it's not like one defining, like, oh, this big thing happened. It
Hmm.
was more just like those moments at home, like with my dog and Logan, and just like being cozy and enjoying our home was like a high for me. I feel like I just like settled into such a deep contentment this year with where we're at in life. And
Hmm.
contentment's always a hard thing for me. And so like that is really an amazing thing for me. Like I am just so, even though like cuz I'm always someone that looks towards the future, that I'm like I can't wait to have kids or like this next stage. And
Hmm.
like even though that still is true of me, like I'm so deeply content in this season, like that
Hmm.
those things are just like not overwhelming my thoughts of like, oh, get to the next stage. And I think that
Yeah.
comes in tandem with like me just slowing down in general and kind of redefining my life this year in ways. And a lot of those things are like anti kind of crunchy, not anti, but like kind of counter to a healthy lifestyle, like watching movies in bed at night with lots of blue light and eating a late night mug cake with Logan or something like
Mhm.
cozy like that. Just like
Yeah.
the cute little moments that make life, everyday life, a little more joyful.
Mhm.
And then my third one was just like the homesteady crunchy things I was able to do. So gardening and preserving that. I bought lots of meat in bulk and was able to use those whole animals with tallow and using the bones for broth that I canned, and using the meat and just really cooking, making my own breads, making my
Mhm.
own pastas a little. That's one of my goals for 2024 is to
Ooh.
make a lot more of my um, own pastas and stuff. But just really, uh, it's like I don't have big defining like these were the highs of my
Mhm.
year other than kind of crunchy. It's just the everyday stuff adds up to be magical.
It really does. I love that. I mean, and that's life. Life is just a bunch of small little moments that
hmm
make up what our lives are. So, no, I think that's great.
Now, in a more negative light, what were the top 3 to 5 lows or valleys that you had this year?
I struggled coming up with these.
Me too. I only have two.
So I have like an overarching one, and then I have two like moments that like were kind of like scary low
hmm
moments that are kind of funny to tell, but like they're funny now, but in the moment like it was like scary.
Yes.
Um, okay, first one. Well, I'll give you like the overarching one, which you probably know this. Just too many full weekends. They were
hmm
just so it's hard. I hate saying that because they were all wonderful things. Most of the time they were like people's weddings or trips with like family, like such blessings and so grateful for them,
hmm
but like with how busy everything else is in life, like it just like it was exhausting. And it was like I think it was in October, November, like Logan and I both like got sick from it because we were just like we're gone like 4 weekends in a row, and it was our
Yeah.
house was a disaster, and we were like what's even happening, we're spending millions of dollars on gas.
The burnout.
The burnout was real. So looking into next year, we have one or two weddings. I think it's actually just one. Which even if we get invited to a few more, like what are we gonna have, three or four? Like I'm just
hmm
looking at next year and it's already looking lighter, so I have hope. um but like my other two low moments, I would say, which I've shared about these on the podcast, but if you're new here, um when we were in Florida in April, we were flying home and there was a storm here. And basically, the tree in our front yard caught fire, and it was like attached to like the electrical cord that was then touching our house. And we were like getting on a plane and there was nothing we could do, and they kept calling the fire department and they kept showing up and saying they couldn't do anything. The fire truck showed up like 4 times, and then everyone was driving by, so I was, yeah, you're like trees on fire, and like we're just in West Palm Beach, like what are we gonna do, is our house gonna catch on fire? um so that was like a low moment of like kind of like panic and terror. Number two moment of panic and terror was when we were in Maine and got locked out of our car at 3 in the
Oh,
morning at a
yes.
Walmart. Yes, yeah, at a Walmart parking lot, locked out of our car. It was cold. Dog was in the car, trying to catch the sunrise. Had to spend $80 to get it opened. It's a whole thing, but it's a really funny story now. But like in those moments, those were like very low, scary moments. Um, so yeah, those are my lows for the year. I mean, so not to get all like depressing, but like negative pregnancy tests, like those are like overarching like low moments that like went throughout the year, just being honest with people.
Yeah.
But like it was a great year overall, so I can't really complain. If struggling to come up with lows, that means it was a pretty good year. So go ahead,
Right.
Rachel.
Yeah, so I only have two. My first one was just at the beginning of the year, edging on that burnout from too much work and just like my whole life being
Mm-hmm.
overly busy. And just I'm happy I pulled back because I was at a place where I really needed to, or else it wasn't healthy for me or like my marriage
Mm-hmm.
or any part of my life. So yeah, just like I feel like I didn't quite like fully burn out, but I was on the verge there. So we caught it just in
Mm-hmm.
time. And that's still like very stressful, just the stress on
Yeah.
physical, mental, relational, all the things. Um, and then secondly would be travel, which I think would surprise people. I used to be a big traveler, and I don't know if it's like COVID and not traveling as much from COVID, or just like me settling into like this slower, cozier at home content life. But travel is like a stressor for me now. Once I'm there, like I like it, but honestly, like a week is like a long time for me. I just really like my home and my routine, and I become such a homebody. And so like especially my trip to Kenya, like I had to go for work, and
Mhm.
like it wasn't with Logan, it was solo. It was a long trip. There was just a lot of plane stuff. I had to run for like all my flights and then was dripping sweat on like 8 hour
Yep.
flights. It was exhausting. Just there were just a lot of travel things that were like extremely stressful before traveling, during. I was just very thankful to be home from some of the things this year. So those were mine, but like what a blessing to have the opportunity to go on those. And that's why I'm
Mhm.
definitely like overall, like look at it as like a huge blessing and like what a cool thing. But if I'm honest, those were some of the lowest times.
I mean, like it's crazy how like the good things, like weddings, travel, like yes, they're all like amazing things, but
Mm-hmm.
like they also are like exhausting and can like even if they are like a blessing, they can
Mm-hmm.
still be like overwhelming.
Yeah, for sure. Um, let's talk about our most memorable events, experiences, trips of the year.
Yeah. Okay, so a few. This is really making me reflect. My birthday this year, we went to DC for like
Mm-hmm.
basically like 24 hours, and that was
Oh
just like
yeah.
it was so special. Like we had the best time, just Logan and I. Went to like the Museum of the Bible, got really good food.
Aw.
It was just really fun. It was to see the cherry blossoms in the spring. So that was one. Our trip to Maine, loved Maine,
Mm-hmm.
loved Acadia, just so beautiful. Would go back to Maine in a heartbeat. That was this past June. Um, one of the weekends, our like winter retreat for a youth group. That's always just like a highlight of the year. It's in
Mm-hmm.
February, and it's just so special with all of like my youth group girls, and just it's like such a incredible weekend. And I'm already looking forward to the upcoming one this year. Um, and let's see, 11 weddings. I might have mentioned that before, but those were definitely like they're
Yeah.
all memorable in themselves. Um, and I think that's it. Yeah, getting chickens too. I feel like some of these are repeats, but like getting chickens, like picking the chicks up from
Yeah.
the post office, like that was crazy. So, yeah, what about you, Rachel?
Okay, so I mean my trip to Kenya for work was obviously memorable. I hadn't been there before, and that's like a new place, new continent. So that was a memorable one. Um we went to Florida last February with our in-laws and then my parents too, and it was just like super chill and nice, and went to Disney for the first time and just
Mm-hmm.
like had a fun relaxed vacation. And we've gone to Florida the past few years in the winter, which is always nice because it gives you a little break.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yes.
this past year's trip was just like exceptional. And so that was a good one. Just to Canada, that was like
Yes.
dog sledding was cool, the spa was cool, it was all like really like unique experiences. Other than that, like I really had a slow year. So I didn't have really any big like events or crazy things that happened this year. Um so yeah, that pretty much just travel on my list.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Love that. Yeah, I'm excited for we just the travel upcoming in the next year. Like I feel like
Mhm.
we don't have as many like weekend plans like set in stone, but we have like trips planned like
Yeah.
which I'm like I feel like I'll be looking forward to those knowing that like our weekends are like well rested going into them.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. Let's answer what am I most proud of that I did this year?
I would say this has just kind of been like an overarching answer. This sounds really bad, but just like making it through a really busy year with
Mhm.
teaching bar classes. Like I'm up like at 4:30, 2 days a week to go in and teach. Like I'm in bed early, I'm prepping classes, like and that's just on top of like my normal job, which my normal job was a little more stressful this year, a little more busy. Um all the like we have like multiple trips with Logan's family this year, which were
Mhm.
great, but just like a lot on the calendar. And then you know all like the underlying like infertility stuff. Like I feel
Mhm.
like that like nobody really sees that, but like there's a lot going on in the background. So just like navigating that too as well. So I think like not that I'm like, oh, I made it through this year, but like it was a crazy year, and I feel like I was still, I'm not patting myself on the back or anything, but like I feel like I was still able to be pretty intentional with a lot of my friendships and a lot of like some of the girls that I like mentor and pour into. Um that's definitely like something like I really always aim to do is like, stay intentional, stay in touch with people, and I feel like I was still able to do that this year, on top of just everything. So I'm looking forward to more of that next year.
Love that. Good
What
job.
about you,
I'm
Rachel?
proud of you
Thank
too,
you.
Jensen.
Thanks.
Mine are learning to slow down, which like again, I will keep mentioning that through this episode because that was really my year was all about like putting a halt on so much in my life,
Hmm.
pulling back and just like slowing down. Reading a lot. I wanted to start reading, didn't know how like ravenous I would be for books and
Hmm.
just like proud of how much I was able to read and how much it just like expanded my brain and inspired me.
Hmm.
And I picked my violin back up, which was a goal of mine.
Yay.
I feel like it's just like so easy to lose the skill when you get too busy to play. And I
Hmm.
just didn't want that to be me. And I realized it was like I wasn't playing as frequently as I should be. So I really like made it part of my plans like 4 or 5 days a week, like you had to play for this long, just making myself do boring technique stuff so I get good at it
Hmm.
again. And yeah, so those are things I'm proud of that I did this year.
Hmm. Love that.
Yeah.
So our biggest lesson of the year. I was looking back and I always do like a word of the year. Do you do a word of the year?
You know what I do? I feel like I didn't do one for this year because I
Okay.
just didn't have one.
Well, yeah, you don't want to force it, but if you have one,
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah. So I
But
look back
wait,
at,
I'm sorry. I think I actually did. I should go back and listen. Do we don't have a podcast episode from then, do we?
no, we don't.
Okay, then never mind. Sorry to interrupt.
Well, next year you can look back on this
Yes,
one.
yeah.
But so my word of the year was trust.
Mm.
And I would say like the biggest lesson I've learned, and it's cliche, but like God's timing and not my own. And I think like I've really just leaned into that and just so many different areas in my life, like, and reflecting back too of like so many things in my life were just so perfectly God's timing, God's provision.
Mhm.
And I think He's really revealed that to me this year, just like, hey, just trust in my timing, trust in my plan. You're not meant to carry the weight of this. And it's hard because we're planners. We're planners. We like our timing, we like our schedules,
Mhm.
we like our lists. And while it's good to be organized and thought out, like ultimately like God is in control, and that's such a peace, but also hard when you're a control freak. So I feel like just letting go, surrendering, leaning into the Lord's will, the Lord's timing, and setting aside my plans, my expectations.
I love that. I think for me, it was learning that it's okay to be lazy, which I want to define that some because I think like I had this mentality that not having a jam-packed full schedule or like just relaxing, resting, like
Mhm.
not filling up every second was lazy in some way. Just
Yeah.
like sleeping a normal amount, lazy.
Mhm.
Like that you just have to get up early. The early bird catches the worm. Like,
Yeah.
so really just leaning into that slowing down and like being okay with even if it's like, oh, you seem like you're being lazy. So that's like if I like a better balance with workouts, like not forcing myself to do
Mhm.
workouts when I wasn't feeling up to it, really leaning into like that cycle syncing even. Just like in general, everyday life, I feel like I've switched from like FOMO, like fear of missing out, to JOMO, like joy of
Mhm.
missing out. I'm just like
Love that.
happy to know that you are all out doing whatever at dinner
Mhm.
and I'm like at home cozied up reading my book. I am
Mhm.
fine with that. Like, there's been several instances this year where Logan's like going out with a group of friends and he's like, well, this guy's wife and this one will be there if you want to come, but it doesn't really matter. And I'll be like, no, go. Like, have guy time or whatever. I'm happy to stay home if it's just like informal or whatever. It's not like I'm just canceling on everyone all the
Yeah.
time. And I'm just like happy to be home alone reading my book. Like, wow.
Love
And
that.
have no fear of missing out, which I always used to. So, yeah, really just leaning into the it's okay to just like be a little lazy or rest. Okay, so the next one is what or who was I most grateful for this year?
Okay, so I was most grateful for, I know it's cliche, but Logan. Um, yeah, I feel like I was telling him yesterday, I feel like he's very like steady and like sometimes I can get emotional about things and he's just very like good at keeping like me grounded, not me grounded, but just like we're not like both like super like get hung up emotional like high stress, like he's good at like where it's a good balance. And I think like he's been really incredible this year just through everything, been really
Mhm.
supportive, just been so kind, so sweet. um so definitely Logan. Grateful for you, Rachel, and all that you do for the podcast. There's so many things you do that I don't even know that you do. I mean, I know that you do them, but I don't know how you do them. So grateful for you and all that you do on the back end. Could not do it without you, of course. Um, I'm really grateful for being able to work from home now. That's been a really big blessing. So
Mhm.
that's been new, but I'm just loving that. Um, I'm grateful for living in a place where I can get a lot of quality food. I know a lot of people live in cities and it's hard for them to get like good, like grass fed, pasture raised meats and food and organic produce. And I feel like we just live in a really great place in
Mhm.
Lancaster. And then I would just say last is I'm super grateful for just friendships and community, our church community, our small group. Um, really blessed to just have people like always just praying for us, walking with us. I never feel like I don't have people to lean on or to go to. So I'm just super, super grateful that I have so many good quality people in my life.
Oh, that's beautiful. I'm thankful for you too, Jensen. I have you on my list.
Aw, thanks.
Just our friendship, but starting this podcast and working together and like really like Jensen and I have always worked well together, but just
Mhm.
I feel like that's been even more evident this year. Like we just make good partners in any type of like projects together and stuff. And you just do so much too that I don't see. And what I do see, like with the social media and stuff, I obviously couldn't do all of that in addition. So I'm very thankful for you. I'm thankful for Logan. He's just like my best friend, and we just have so much fun together and just makes every day cheery. Um,
Mhm.
I'm thankful for my dog Ollie. He's just my little buddy,
Aw.
and he is chaotic and causes us lots of headaches. But he's like, I love his little face. And just like you said, working from home and my job have been a big blessing. Just really liking what I do. I'm thankful for our little cozy house. Someday we want to build a house and want to have kids and everything. But like I said, I'm just really content, like where we are, and just thankful for so many reasons. Also thankful for just my body and my health. I one of our closer to like first episodes about like our health journeys and kind of like eating and disordered eating and stuff like that. I shared about like I'm at a weight now that like would have used to scare me so much and everything, and I just feel like I just like really am comfortable in my body and like do not care at all like about the scale or things like that. Like just really my health is priority no matter like the
Mhm.
aesthetics of it. And I feel like I've really just like that's obviously continually evolving like that journey,
Mhm.
but I'm just so grateful for my body and my health and what my body's able to do. Um and yeah, those are just some of them. I could just go all day.
We
So
are
much to be
very
grateful for.
blessed. I
Yes.
love that. Okay, these are some of this is the fun one. Some of like the top things. So top book, top show, top purchase, top thing I ate, top place I traveled. Did I miss any, Rachel? Is that them? Is that all of them?
I think that's all of them.
Okay, I'm gonna just like bang these out.
Yes.
Um, in 5 years is the book. Rachel gave it to me. I read it in one day. 10 out of 10 recommend. Um, show Gilmore Girls stole my heart. Um, purchase. I got new jeans this year, which like I feel like sometimes like it's just like you're just like, okay, I need new jeans. Like
Mhm.
need to purchase these. Got new jeans, great. And then acupuncture is like a continual purchase, but I feel like that's been super good for my health. So acupuncture made the list. Um, food, a few things. Um, the bread that I make, I know I've been talking about that, but I feel like it's just become like a staple and it just brings me joy with like good grass fed butter and so good. Um, the steak Logan made for our anniversary, it was like a full meal that he made and it was just so sweet and so delicious. Um, and we discovered a new bagel place I've mentioned. It's called the Bagel Rack, and that's just been such a fun little date that we go on, and we'll get like a fun coffee. So yeah, that's the food. And then travel. I didn't mention this under like top events, but looking back on it, like when we traveled to the wedding in West Palm Beach, I loved West Palm Beach. I
Mm.
It is just the cleanest, most beautiful city, and the people were truly so nice there, and it was just like bougie and
Yeah, it's
beautiful
pretty
and
ritzy.
sunshine,
Yeah.
so ritzy, which like I don't know. Sometimes you might think people might be like hoity-toity. Like, no, like people were just so nice everywhere. I was like, you're nice. Everything's clean and beautiful, and we just loved it. We were only there like 3 days, but it was
Mhm.
a really great trip. So
I
that's
just
all.
have to tell you, I've never heard the phrase hoity-toity, but I love it.
Really?
Yeah,
I feel like I've heard that a lot, or maybe I don't know. Maybe I just say that. So
I knew what you meant by it. I'm gonna
yeah.
have to start using it. Okay, awesome. I'll bang through mine real quick. Book was the ACOTAR series. That's what got me into fantasy books a little bit, and I just think Sarah J. Maas is a really good writer, and I really love that series. Show was Dancing with the Stars. Like that was like
So
I
good.
was
So
watching
good.
it live each week. Just really was committed to that. I like some Dancing with the Stars. Purchase was all the whole animals we got. We got a pig, we got a beef, we got whole chickens, we got a venison or a deer. Kalia shampoo and conditioner. I for years was trying to find a really good shampoo and conditioner that was all natural, and I love this one and I'm sticking with it. And then the other thing's just my phone stand that I put my phone in. And like the sticky thing on the back so I can suction it places. That's
Ooh.
just recent. I just got that. So those were some of my best purchases. Best food, the sourdough bagels I make at home. I love them. I eat them every day. So they're one of my favorite things. The French onion soup I just had in Canada was the best French onion soup of my life, and I am a big French onion soup girl. And then Aldi chocolate caramels, caramel. Do you say caramel or caramel? I go back and
I
forth.
I say caramel, but I don't know what's right.
I've always said caramel, and now recently I've been saying caramel more. So I don't know. I like I don't know. Um,
Caramel sounds fancier.
It does, and it's Aldi, so maybe I should say caramel because it's really not fancy. They're like, I don't know, they're little squares of caramel dipped in chocolate with sea salt, and they come in this little container. And I swear, like, I cannot let them alone if and I do not need that whole container.
I've had them. They're phenomenal. They're so good.
Yeah,
I can't buy them because
right?
they will be gone. Yeah.
Yeah, those are one of my favorites. And travel was just camping. My camping was cut short for like a work thing I had to do a little bit, but I love camping. It's so relaxing actually, and just like an enjoyable experience this year compared some of my other trips were like a little more fast paced and stressful.
Hmm.
So it was just chilled out.
I love that.
Yeah.
Top podcast we did this year. So I'll tell you my favorite two. You tell me your
Okay.
favorites. I loved our relationships and marriage one. I feel like that
Mm-hmm.
was just fun to like hear like our whole stories because I feel like I learned more about you, even you and Logan. So that was fun. And just to talk about like advice and I don't know, that was just like a really fun episode. And then Logan hopped on the end, which was fun. I kind of forgot about that till just now. And then our health hot takes, I feel like we were just like
Yeah.
unhinged for that one. We were just like, you know what? This is how we really feel. I'm sorry. Like, this is crap. I don't know. It was just fun. I feel like were just giving our raw opinions on a lot of like trendy things going on. And it was just a fun episode. So those are my two favorites, but there's been so many good ones. That was honestly really hard for me to just decide on those two.
Yeah, I agree. I put 20 tips to get healthy, which is it's two episodes, like there's two 10 tips to get healthy, a two-parter. But so many people tell me that's been like one of their favorite and helped them so much, just like the basic tips. And I think those were literally the first ones we ever recorded.
Yeah.
And then the 73 questions we did just because we were
Mm-hmm.
just like so silly and in just such a fun mood. And it was just fun to record and like bop through
Mm-hmm.
some questions. Yeah, those are the ones I put down.
All right, we're on our last question. The high and low of kind of crunchy. Um, Highs and lows. Highs would be recording is just so fun. Like it's literally
Mm-hmm.
just like we always said like Rachel and I just love talking about this stuff, so we're just gonna put a microphone in front of it. Like these are conversations. I mean, they wouldn't be probably this detailed, but like these are conversations we're always having. So we're like, let's just record it. I would say like all the photo shoots and branding, like those things have been really fun to
Mm-hmm.
do. Like just like fun experiences. We've had great photographers too that have made it so fun.
Mm-hmm.
And then I do love okay, I don't always love listening back because I sometimes hate my voice or I'm just like, oh, why did I say that? But like listening back on an episode that we like really love, like I'm just like, oh my gosh, I love that. And I guess hearing like feedback from people that are like, I did this and it helped. Like you said this in your episode and like I started doing it and it was like really beneficial for my health. So those would be the highs. Lows, and again, I really enjoy doing this. You know that I do. I love doing the social media, but sometimes my brain just is like, what do I post? Or like, haven't done a reel in a week. What should I make a reel of? So sometimes like that just like
Mm-hmm.
because I do social media for work, I do social media for my youth group. I do a lot of social media, so sometimes I'm just like keeping it all straight. So that just takes time, but I still enjoy doing that. And I guess the low would also just be like sometimes like finding a time to record, like feeling like we have to
Mm-hmm.
like fit that in our schedule, but like we make it work. So those are my highs and lows.
Yeah, I agree with them all. I think one of my highs is us just doing it, making it a whole year,
Yeah.
just doing it, getting like being like, we're going to do a podcast and we have no idea what we're doing and
Yep.
making it a thing. Um, all of you listening and loving it, that's definitely a high, is just like people texting me and being like, oh my gosh, like I listened to this and I'm doing this now, or I heard this life update from you. It's just neat that you guys listen and like hearing us talk
Mm-hmm.
because I'm shocked that people want to hear me talk so much, although I love
Mm-hmm.
to talk so much. Um so yeah, those are some of the highs. Lows are just like tech issues and like the back end business side, all the boring stuff that comes along with running anything.
Mm-hmm.
But in the midst of those, it's really like small, minor stressors that we just get past. And it's definitely just like so much fun more than anything. I would also say a high is like all the guests we've been able to have on. Just
Oh yeah.
people being willing to come on, wanting to come on, how
Uh-huh.
amazing they've been in interviews, just like getting to meet these people. It's just been so much fun and like so awesome that people are just so willing to like come on our little rinky dink podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, but overall, mainly highs. It's been a high all year. We're almost coming up on a whole year of podcasting, which is
I
crazy.
know. That's
Crazy.
crazy. Yeah. So this will be our last episode in 2023. So,
Mm-hmm.
right? Yeah, I will be.
Yes.
We made it to the end of the year. So I guess guys, we'll link these questions so if you want to do these for yourself. But I guess today's will be the 26th. So hope you had a Merry Christmas and
Yes.
hope you guys have an amazing new year. We have so many exciting things to come in 2024, but we'll get into that on our first episode of the new
Mm-hmm.
year. So stay tuned for just some plans for the year, some things we're excited about, but we'll leave you with that little cliffhanger.
All right. Thanks for listening, guys. Have a wonderfully crunchy day.
Yes. Bye guys.
Bye. Remember, although we talk all things health and wellness here, this is not medical advice and you should always seek out your medical professional for further questions. Thanks again for listening. Please remember to share, comment, and subscribe to help support our podcast.